WWE star is suspended, it's typically a big news story, especially if it's a major star and if it has further implications or leads to a firing. WWE wrestlers, not to mention referees, writers, and other personnel, can get suspended for just about anything, from missing shows and getting in fights to being caught using illegal or otherwise prohibited substances. Salacious as the reasons may be, and as notable as the names sometimes are, not every suspension lingers long in the memory. In fact, sometimes they barely get reported on at all. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 forgotten WWE suspensions. Join us. Number 10, Bull Nakano. Bull Nakano arrived in WWE from Japan during the mid-90s and alongside Alundra Blaze did much to change the perception of women's wrestling in the United States at the time. Nakano and Blaze clashed over the women's title on many occasions, including at the 1994 SummerSlam pay-per-view. Their matches were a breath of fresh air, and it looked like Nakano, with her hard-hitting style and eye-catching appearance, may become a fully fledged WWE star for the long term. However, in December of '94, she was suspended for 6 weeks, which effectively meant 6 weeks off the road for Alundra too, since Bull was her only opponent. It wasn't specified exactly what Nakano, who was reigning women's champion at the time, was suspended for, but she did come back for a brief spell before dropping the belt the day after WrestleMania 11. She was subsequently fired in April after she was reportedly found in possession of cocaine, so, do the math on that one. Anyway, this blip hasn't affected the legendary Nakano's legacy any, and she was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2024. Number 9, Just Incredible. After binning the yellow jockstrap mask and leaving WWE for ECW in the late 90s, the former Aldo Montoya saw his career go from strength to strength as Just Incredible. A headliner for Paul Heyman's promotion, Credible came back down to earth when he signed with WWE following ECW's demise in early 2001. Initially thrown into the X Factor group alongside X-Pac and Albert, Credible quickly became lost in the shuffle and had all but disappeared from television when WWE suspended him in December of 2001. Having lost his passion for the business, Pete Polacco had found a kindred spirit in the burned-out Jeff Hardy, the two men indulging in things that caused them to habitually show up late for shows. WWE suspended the pair of them, though Jeff, being a bigger star, was only taken off the house shows and still used on TV. The suspension turned out to be the end of the road for the former ECW champion, however, as he was let go on January 20th, 2003. Number 8, Eugene. In the wake of Eddie Guerrero's death in November of 2005, WWE informed their roster at a TV taping in Sheffield, England just days later that they were going to institute a new talent wellness policy as a way of trying to prevent any future tragedies. The announcement seemed even more timely due to an accident that had happened 4 days beforehand. According to reports, Nick Dinsmore, aka Eugene, had been acting erratically during the tour when, following the November 17th house show in Manchester, he took one too many Somas, a popular muscle relaxer among wrestlers, as well as some other prescription medication, and then locked himself out of his hotel room and passed out in the lobby. When he couldn't be revived, Dinsmore was rushed to the hospital. After he had regained consciousness, the former WWE champion was duly informed that he was being suspended, sent home, and ordered to attend a drug rehab program. WWE actually put all of this information on their own website, perhaps to show they were serious about their new drug program. Eugene returned in the 2006 Royal Rumble match, but his WWE career was never really the same after. Number 7, Hardcore Holly. There were a few things that Bob Holly very well could have been suspended for during his WWE career. But was he suspended when he beat the hell out of trainee Matt Cappotelli during a guest appearance on the 3rd season of Tough Enough? Nope. And was he suspended when he beat the hell out of Rene Dupree during a house show match because Dupree had neglected to pay a parking ticket he had gotten while riding in Holly's rental car? Nope, although he was fined 10 grand for the assault and warned something similar could not happen again. Old Sparky Plug didn't get told to take a holiday after either of those beatings, but he was suspended when, according to reports, he was found going through other wrestlers' bags backstage in September of 2008. It was alleged that Holly had been caught stealing painkillers that didn't belong to him, and when management found out about it, suspended him and sent him to rehab to help with his addiction. This wasn't publicly disclosed by WWE since it wasn't an official wellness policy violation, and most fans didn't likely realize Bob Core was gone since he hadn't been used much and wouldn't be again since he was fired in January without making another WWE appearance. Number 6, Jesse James. It's no secret that Brian James, aka the Road Dogg, struggled with substance abuse problems during his pro wrestling career. The DOGG has been very open about this fact and is thankfully clean and sober and thriving in a backstage role in WWE today. Back during the prime of his in-ring run, however, the roadie's habits resulted in him being sent to rehab and ultimately let go in early 2001. There had been warning signs prior to that, however. In March of 1997, it was reported that Jesse James had been out of action because of a 6-week suspension due to a violation of company policy. Since WWE had ceased widespread drug testing when it came to the wider roster, that meant company officials had reason to believe that the second-generation star had a problem and decided to not so randomly test him. He then had to sit at home during most of February and March, though few fans would have clocked this since James was basically a glorified jobber by that point. The suspension would have been a distant memory by the time James teamed up with Billy Gunn and formed the New Age Outlaws at the end of the year. Number 5, Hornswoggle. When most WWE fans think about those that violate the company's wellness policy, they naturally flash to the stars with the artificially enhanced physiques or those with noted substance abuse issues. The truth is, however, that anyone can get a strike, and it's not always for the reason you might think. Take, for example, Hornswoggle, who got slapped with a 30-day suspension for his first wellness policy violation in September of 2015. Now, just going by the visual test alone, I don't think that the former Cruiserweight champion was on the gas at the time. There had also been no history of Hornswoggle struggling with illicit substances, so this one came very much out of left field. According to the man himself, he hadn't actually taken anything. The real reason for his testing failure and consequent suspension was because he was unable to provide a urine sample in the time allotted. That's right, Hornswoggle couldn't pee by the time the clock ran out, and his lack of sample automatically counted as a failure. While Swoggle didn't appreciate the stigma that came with the so-called failure, he did later say that he understood why it was classed as such and was fully on board with and supportive of the wellness policy. Number 4, Rick Steiner. Though Scott Steiner has a reputation for being a loose cannon, a reputation that was well earned it must be said, those that know the Steiners personally say it's actually older brother Rick who is really the wild one in the family. And while the dog-faced gremlin hasn't been involved in as many notorious incidents as Big Papa Pump, he does have a history that speaks to his freewheeling nature. As well as various backstage ribs, in-ring shoot incidents, and wrestling convention hate speeches, Rick Steiner has also found himself serving a suspension for falling afoul of WWE's drug policy. The University of Michigan alumni picked a bad time to piss hot since WWE were getting serious about their testing due to the pressures of an ongoing federal investigation. In September of 1993, both Steiner brothers were taken off WWE house shows. It was initially believed and reported that Scott was the one who had been suspended, but further reports clarified that it was in fact Rick who had been popped. They still worked TV tapings, but missed about 6 weeks worth of house shows. Rick later claimed WWE had told him he tested positive for an unnamed substance, causing him to go to a separate lab and take a further test he says proved he was clean. Number 3, Tatanka. WWE clearly had high hopes for Tatanka, debuting him to much fanfare following a lengthy vignette campaign and then booking him to go on a long winning streak. The man was over and looked good for an Intercontinental title reign at one point, but it never happened and his career was faltering when he was suspended by WWE in August of 1995. He hadn't missed any shows or failed a drug test, but was being accused of something that was a lot more serious. Tatanka was named in a lawsuit a female fan had filed that summer, alleging that he and Jimmy Del Rey had drugged and assaulted her following a house show in Anaheim the previous December. Del Rey was let go, while Tatanka was sent home pending an investigation. WWE were adamant he wouldn't be brought back until things were settled, which they evidently were in early 1996 as Tatanka returned in the Royal Rumble. Kevin Nash later said that Tatanka had basically been in the wrong place at the wrong time and wasn't actually involved in the unsavory hotel incident, while most had suspected Del Rey of being the culprit. it. Number 2, Jamal. Before being given a second opportunity as Umaga, Eddie Fatu might well have thought he had blown his chance with WWE due to how disappointing his first run in the promotion was. 3-Minute Warning member Jamal's initial spell in the big time was blighted by controversial moments, including an outside-the-ring incident that led to a suspension. According to reports, Jamal and his wife had been drinking at a bar in Pensacola, Florida in November of 2002 when she may have accidentally broken a tip jar. An off-duty policeman believed that she was causing a disturbance and attempted to remove her from the bar, which is when the Samoan bulldozer got involved. It took the cop and another bar patron to subdue Fatu, who was taken to the hospital and then a local police station while allegedly making threats to several police officers and their families along the way. When Jamal was charged with battery and resisting arrest, WWE suspended him, though only from house shows and not TV, as was their policy at the time. As a further punishment, Jamal, while still serving his suspension, was booked to take a stink face from his very own brother in the 2003 Royal Rumble match. Number 1, Ryan Reeves. Despite failing to win 2004's $1 Million Tough Enough competition, WWE decided to hire the muscular Ryan Reeves to a developmental deal anyway. I mention the big guy's physique because, truth be told, it's unlikely that Reeves would get a look if it wasn't for his bulging body. It was hardly a shock when, in July of 2006, the future Ryback, who was toiling away in Feeder Farm OVW, was suspended for 30 days due to his first violation of the WWE wellness policy. Yes, the policy also extended to developmental prospects. According to Reeves, however, he had been taking nothing but over-the-counter bodybuilding supplements, one of which contained something that resulted in a positive test. Reeves claimed that the offending product was subsequently taken off the market and that he returned to training after passing a second test. WWE released Reeves in January of 2007, then hired him back in the fall of 2008, making him the first talent with a wellness policy strike to return to the company after being canned. There's no danger of a second violation for Reeves' mind, since he can never return to WWE following his legally binding retirement.